Say
Go ahead,
one.
Dave.
Ready? Recording.
Mhm.
Good evening. It is 7:03, and we'd like to open the March 4th Littleton Littleton Library Board of Trustees meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring, but is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of the comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents within the chat room, which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute themselves and state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. Thank you. And that's that.
Thank you. Moving along, public participation.
There's nobody.
Correspondence.
We did receive a letter from David Stevens. He's from the Trust Fund Commissioners. He wants to know if it's okay to post some scholarship information and applications on the library website. So,
Does anyone have any objections?
No.
Okay.
okay.
Is there anything more specific than just scholarship information, or is that just something?
So, so David's on the board of the Littleton Scholarship Trust, and the Scholarship Trust has two types of scholarships. They give out one to basically high school seniors, recent graduates, and they also give like continuing ed scholarships to older adults. And they'd like to better publicize the older adult scholarships, I believe. So that's what he's looking for. It's a publicity thing. Okay. No other correspondence?
That's it.
Minutes.
I saw a couple typos where Katrina's last name was spelled wrong. Hapberg with a P instead of a G, but other than that, I didn't see anything.
You're better at spelling my name, apparently.
Sorry, that's my fault. Sorry, Katrina.
I didn't even catch it. So Lemire is better eagle eyes than I am. That's funny.
Okay, I'll make those changes, and or Chris, if you want to make those changes and send them to me. Either way.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion to accept them as amended?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, going around, David,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Mira,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Demetra.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving along, treasurer's report.
Wow, I didn't get one. I'm sorry. My
Okay,
apology.
it's early, so, so we'll follow up and maybe
I
send
will
something
get,
out.
I will get one tomorrow and send it out. My bad.
Okay. Friends report.
So they wrapped up the Love Your Library month in February with the candy jar. As of the point of the meeting, they had, I feel like 70 something entries for the candy jar, and probably got more. They were collecting Valentines for the librarians, messages and recipes. Those didn't have as good of a response at that point. I don't know if they picked up towards the end of the month. And then the main other thing that was not fundraising, which I assume Katrina will talk about, is the book sales. So maybe that too. But so they are, I guess that is fundraising, but they are hoping to have an outdoor book sale on the first weekend in May, and working with the NHS again from the high school, and trying to figure out a way to coordinate a time for people to sort of do a drive-by drop off of any books they have, and then get those sorted in time for an outdoor book sale. So hopefully weather will cooperate and allow that to happen. And then they decided the townwide mailing, they decided to wait till closer to summer for that. I think that's it.
Okay. Anything to add, Sam? Okay, thank you. Fundraising and public awareness.
Okay, so it's been a little busy on the fundraising front this month. Sarah and I worked on a grant for the Emerson community, I'm botching the name, but the Emerson Hospital grant that we did last year. We applied for another one this year to ask for money to put towards assistive hearing devices that could be used around the library in various places. So portable, and also at the reference desk, things like that, to help people hear in the new building, make it more accessible. So we submitted that last Friday. We won't hear probably for a couple months on that. Mark and Sarah and I have been working to get out letters to, thank you, Mira and Chris, for going through that that list and helping us figure out how to contact people, because we've, I think Mark dropped some letters in the mail today to those businesses that we're trying to invite to see if they'll want to either name an area or be on the donor wall, things like that. I sent out letters to all of the mini golf sponsors from the last 3 years to invite them to level up their donations to get on the wall, as it feels like they've supported us for multiple years. We'd love to see their names there too. So those went out. We actually have a few replies from that, which is amazing. And I'm working towards getting those secured. And then we also have a couple more rounds of emails and letters to go out to other businesses and individuals that we've targeted. So those should be, Sarah actually just formatted them for me, so I have to edit them to make sure they're correct. But those should be going out this weekend. And then I have a couple other letters to individuals that I know of that I need to more personalize. So I'm going to send those this weekend as well. And then Mark, you can jump in when I totally forget something. Sarah and I are also, and Barbara from Friends, we're all talking about doing a last, we're at the final push. We need to finalize the donor wall sooner rather than later. And we're at that final stage for that. So we are going to library.
Appreciation Day.
Yeah, whatever it's called. It's like Library Day is April 7th. And we're going to use that as our end date for fundraising for the building. So what Sarah and I are going to meet this weekend, we're going to kind of map out a social media plan and write letters for like press releases for the newspapers, send letters to the various boards and things, hoping to spread the word that this is the final push to bring us over the million. So bring us over the edge and get on the wall. This is like that final step. And then we need to finalize the donor wall and get everyone their names correct and everything so that we can actually do the donor wall and all of the room naming plaques and signs and things like that we have to do. So that is coming at us very quickly in the next 4 weeks. So I think we've kind of mapped out a plan with like a couple social media posts a week, some cross posting on various pages that were successful for the vote, and some other, library pages, things like that have people who we know are enriched library supporters, and just trying to get that last little bit that we can so that we're finished and we get that sign all the way up to the top. And so that's where we are. Mark, what did I forget?
I think you summed it up pretty well. On the business list, there's still a couple that haven't been vetted that we probably need to go through, that we should figure out if the addresses or names are correct. So if Katrina or Mira can help with that, that would be appreciated. We probably have to get those out in the next week or so. Like one is I have no idea how to contact like the Obashan Foundation. I looked, I can't find anything. And then there's some others. I think the ones that we've contacted have been marked in the spreadsheet. So if it's marked high and not ready and hasn't been marked as contacted and ready to send, then we need to finalize the vetting of those so we can get them out basically in the next week. I think that's about it. Building project updates. So everyone got to see the inside of the building today. It's coming along very nicely. And I don't know if everyone else has this. It's kind of interesting walking around the building where some of the rooms feel really large and some of them feel really small, and you're going through. So they're I think the entire HVAC system is more or less in place now, or almost in place. They're finishing up the electrical. They're going to be doing drywalling the downstairs hopefully next week. And things are moving along at or ahead of schedule. And we're tracking to the budget very well. I think the carpet and everything has been selected. And Katrina and Sam are working on the furnishings. I don't know if you want to add anything on that, Katrina or Sam.
We had a meeting today, and I think we're pretty much set on children's and YA, but Katrina and I aren't thrilled about the adults, but we sent them some examples or samples of what we'd like. And so I'm going to speak with Natalie tomorrow. She's one of the architects working on the furniture. So hopefully that will be done soon.
Okay. And do you want to talk about a moving plan, Sam? I know you've been talking to.
Yeah. So I spoke with the movers that we used the last time in the children's room, and they came in and they measured, and I showed them what we want to take and what we don't. They said they can get rid of anything we don't want to keep. So that's a possibility. I spoke to Joe Layden, and he said that we'll probably need at least 2 more quotes. So I've contacted 2 other companies, and I'm going to meet with them next week.
Okay. As far as getting rid of the stuff we don't want to keep, I would also contact Joe about that to make sure that we can do that.
Yeah, I would definitely.
And I think the plan is still around the beginning of September, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So, any questions on the building updates?
It was nice walking around it today. It felt very real.
Yeah. I thought I heard Sen say that the electrical inspection was done today. I could have heard that wrong, but because I was asking her about the drywall, and that's what I thought she said. So that would be good if it's already done.
I know, well, I think when we had, that could be today or yesterday, that they did some preliminary electrical inspections, I know. Everything's moving along at a pretty good clip. There has been no real surprises or nothing that's really come up. There's always some arguing back and forth between the construction firm and the architect, and but it's usually minor things that we're not that involved with. They're working out, minor details or details among themselves, like on what light fixtures are going in, for example. There seems to be a big sticking point, but they're not necessarily things that we said, oh, we want this sconce type thing, right? They're trying to figure out what's the best one going forward. So, any other questions on the building updates? It also looked like there would be a pretty cool sledding hill coming off the other side of the library now for next year. So,
yeah, Diane has an idea to have a sort of like a free little library instead of like a free little like sleds, like have sleds to
I've seen that.
yeah. So we're going to do that when the new library comes.
It would be fun to coordinate an event that is tied with sledding in the children's room in maybe next winter, if we're able to gather.
Yeah. And then we'll practice the trampolining off the patio. And
I tried falling off today. Someone has to test it.
So trustee updates. I'll start basically working on the fundraising and the building project. I seem to be checking out and finding more books that I'm interested in reading than I have time to read, but that seems to be the general theme. I really like the auto renewal feature that MVLC put in. It would kind of be nice. The one request I would have is that it'd be nice to know which ones aren't going to auto renew, so I know which of the several that I have that I should read first. But yeah. So that's all I have. You want to go next, Dave?
Sure. You just bring to mind, I was interested to find out the other day, Jenna was saying, I was trying to remember a book that I had read and I couldn't. And I said, I wish I could figure out how to do that. And she said, well, you have a history. I didn't even know that, right? I had no idea that I have a history. She said, you just have to activate it. So, oh, all right. But it's like Mark says, I have a stack of books and I have to figure out which ones to read first. And I just got another one today that I want to read now, but I have to finish the other ones first. So we all should have such problems.
Yes. Katrina?
So like Mark, I've been very deep in fundraising tasks. And so hopefully I'm seeing the finish line is ahead of us. So hopefully those will lighten up soon, hot and heavy for a few more weeks. Diane, I have to say, hit it out of the park with the reader advisory request my kids submitted. They are just so thrilled. So that is such a blessing to have access to right now. She's always great about picking books for my kids. And I'm thankful for that because then I don't have to do that myself or try to imagine what they'll like. The puzzle table has also been a big hit in our family. And then I sat in to help check people in that first Saturday for the browsing appointments. And I first amazed by how well the staff is just watching them work in the new situation is amazing. And I'm very grateful for them and all of their effort, and getting to see it backstage, if you will, was eye-opening. And then just to check in the two people who checked in that day that I saw, they were just so thankful to be back, to be able to browse again. They're the kind who just want to browse. And they were so far apart and very thankful as well. So hopefully that's working out well. And everyone looked like they knew what they were doing. No one had extra questions, and I haven't heard any since. So that's great, but let me know if you guys have any. So that's all I have right now.
So I'll add something on the whole staff thing. So after we did the walkthrough today of the new library, Sarah and I went around and picked up some books. And I was watching the staff run around like crazy because someone was there to get out 85 books that her kids and herself had checked out. So I think they were doing like, I don't know how many trips up and down the steps they had to do to get their books, but it was amazing to watch how hard they were working to try and serve them and keep everyone else going. So kudos to our staff. So, maybe they should have just brought a whole cart. So, Mira?
Okay, yes, I also have a stack of books I need to read and need to triage which ones I have to read first. My kids have been stuck reading the same things over and over again, so we're now in the mode where we're reading things that we've already read 10 times. So maybe someday they will try something new and we will reach out for suggestions again. But other than that, I don't have many library related updates. I've sort of been consumed with back to school and change of routine and all of that. So that is what I have been doing.
Okay, Chris?
I don't have too many library related things either. I have a stack of books and end up don't reading them and returning them after I don't read them, unfortunately. But I really enjoyed seeing all of you today. I really enjoyed seeing the building and the progress. I need to come out of hibernation a little bit. I have definitely been a little bit agoraphobic about coming out of my house, as some of you may know, because I've talked about it a little bit. Yeah, that's all I have really, just that. I'm excited that it's spring and hoping that we'll be out and be able to be out and about in the real world soon. So that's all.
Demetra?
I joined a book club. I haven't had much successes with those in the past, but this one is going very well. And it's interesting because we've been reading books that I would normally abandon after 20 pages, but now I'm being held accountable. And so I've been able to finish them, and they're actually really good. I'm glad. I mean, everybody should join a book club because it forces you to try things that you wouldn't usually try. So yeah, that's my news.
All right. I should try that. I'm scared. I'm afraid to do that.
Okay.
I love my
Sam,
book
you're
club,
up.
even though I don't always read the books.
Okay.
Can I? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can I ask one question? Readers advisories. Okay, those are pretty cool. Do you think that you'll have readers advisories after we're back open again, full bore?
Technically we did. It's just we didn't have a form for people to fill out. Usually patrons just called.
Okay.
Yeah, we could definitely continue that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like what I hear is that everybody really enjoys that.
Mhm.
And was it like Katrina said, she doesn't have to come into the library? She can just. I don't know if that was you that said that, but
Yeah,
a lot of people.
It's great to be
that.
like, these are the books my kids, they write it down. I don't do it, but these are the books I love and what I've read, and this is what I like to do or whatever. And Diane just knocks it out of the park. Normally when they're in the library, they just ask her. So we do miss talking to her.
Right.
Okay.
And any of the librarians are always helpful. I know Jenna's helped Lauren too. So eventually maybe it won't be such a need. It's a fabulous service right now, especially when we're still curbside mainly.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sam.
Sure. Okay. So as I said before, I met with some furniture companies. Well, one furniture company. I'm going to meet with two more next week. I submitted a draft application to the MBLC for a similar thing that Sarah and Katrina applied for. It's for adaptive equipment for the visually and hearing impaired. So far, it's looking pretty good to the MBLC advisors that have looked it over. I still will submit a final draft in April, and we'll find out in July. The grant will cover things like training for the staff, hearing equipment in the large meeting space, and some visual equipment for those with visual impairments, like larger screens, keyboards, that sort of thing. Let's see, the IT director and I met and we discussed what computer equipment we'll need in the new library. It looks like we're going to be on budget for that. The town is purchasing a new telephone system that's on Wi-Fi, and we'll get brand new headsets for free from that. So the money that could have gone towards the telephone systems can go towards the computers, because we actually did come in over budget, but with the telephones coming in for free, we're right on budget. Library Insight, our room and museum pass booking software, they're going out of business in December. So we're looking at a new system to purchase. So we have a demo with the staff next week with one company. And I was interviewed by LCTV on the reopening status of the library and the library project back on February 18th. So I think that might be on LCTV right now. Let's see, as far as programming goes, the Luann Rice author series had 8 people, the J.A. Jans had 9, and Valentine's Garland Craft had 135 people, kits go out. The Geological History of Littleton program is coming up on March 16th via Zoom at 7. Third Wednesday's Book Club meets via Zoom on March 17th at 7:30. The virtual Fantastical Book Club meets via Zoom on March 20th. We have Teen Candy Bingo on March 25th at 7. The Children's Take It and Make It Flying CD Fish are available on March 9th. Little and Letters Story Times is going really well with Diane, and that meets Wednesdays via Facebook. Virtual Toddler Story Time with Miss Jennifer is on Fridays via Facebook. And the Second Grade Book Club meets on Zoom on March 23rd.
Third grade book club too.
Third Grade Book Club too, sorry.
That one's the big hit in this house.
As far as the financial report goes, we're pretty much on track with payroll and town materials. Yeah, we're looking good with the budget. We're heading down the long stretch, the final stretch. And then the rest of the report is just the stats. Any questions?
The author series talks, were those, you said 8 and 9 people, were 8 and 9 participants from Littleton or total across the libraries? Do they break it out by library?
Helen can answer that a little better than I can. You're muted.
Yeah. Okay. There were 155, I think, for the Luann Rice across the board. There were 170 for J.A. Jantz and 222 for Susan Mallory. We came in at 9, 8, and 9. So that was pretty good considering it was free. So we just piggybacked off of that, supplied the books, and, did some PR quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions on Sam's report? Do you have anything to add on your own report, Helen?
Let me unmute. Am I unmuted again?
You're unmuted.
Now you're muted.
I just wanted to say it looks like the history of Littleton geology, which is coming up on March 16th, already is at a waiting list. We have 100 people capacity, and we have 5 on the waiting list. So I'm just praying that our Zoom doesn't crash that night. That's all.
We cross-posted that on the Littleton Trails Facebook page for you. I figured it'd be some interest, but I didn't realize it'd be that much interest. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else on the director's report, I don't see anything under old business, Sam, are we?
No, but reopening under new business, so it was.
Okay,
That's it.
I'll go ahead on the reopening update then.
Okay, so yeah, as everybody said, the staff is doing a fantastic job. They're doing really well as far as keeping up with the people coming in. I counted it today, we had 30 appointments since we opened on the 18th of December. Yep, February. So we've had quite a lot of people come in. We had today alone, I think was the most. We had 5 people come in at the 3 o'clock time slot. I think that's the most we've ever had in 1 hour. Mostly it's going well. The patrons love it. They love that we've opened for browsing and computer appointments. I have had 2 issues. One was a parent came with their 2 kids. They didn't realize they weren't supposed to bring their kids. So she understood. She was okay with it. And then another woman who she couldn't make it on the days that we were open by appointment. And so she became angry that she couldn't come in at a different time. So I did work with her, but then she wanted to keep coming. And so that became an issue. But other than that, it's been pretty easy. It's been pretty easy going.
And the staff's generally okay with this, and there's no.
Some are taking it better than others, but yeah, they're doing pretty well. They're doing their jobs. They're doing very well.
Okay. 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 Katrina, do you want to talk about the letter that we've been working on?
Letter. Oh, yes. Sorry. I didn't email that out. I totally dropped the ball on this, but Mark and I have written a letter to Mary Lou Sutters at Mass DPH to advocate for librarians to be added to the essential worker list so that when vaccinations roll out for those workers, that you guys would be hopefully included in that level. It's not clear right now where librarians will be, if they'll be included in that or not, but there are other boards who are advocating for that and just writing letters in support. So we're hoping that if enough boards, library boards do that, then there'd be some noise and support for moving you guys, making sure that you're in that essential worker group if we can do anything to support it. So I totally dropped the ball and did not email you guys the draft today.
So
that is my bad.
So if you want to see the letter, we can send the letter out, or you can trust that we're sending out a good letter. We would like to have the board vote to say that they support, what we're doing with the letter and the request to put librarians on the essential worker list. So that we can say on the letter that it was by unanimous consent of the board. So
I also can read it if you guys want me to just read it right now. Although my computer.
Well, I think I get the gist of it, so I don't need it to be read.
Okay.
That's just me though.
I trust you to write a good letter.
I've been doing this for a little too long, guys. You should hold me accountable.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you guys right now. My apologies. That was my.
Yeah.
Oops.
So we base that letter off a letter that some other boards had sent around that went to the trustees mailing list that we customized it a bit, and then we're looking to send it out. So, so if you want to read the letter first, we can do that, or you can. I'd like to have a motion to send the letter and support the effort, so that we can say that if we don't have that, we'll just take that line off the letter, and I'll sign it. So it's up to what the board wants.
Will somebody do that?
That's too long to read.
If it's on a page.
If it's on one page, I cut myself back.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds like we all are in favor of that. What's the language for the, is there language for the,
Make a motion to support adding libraries to the essential worker list. I think that's good enough.
I'll second that.
well, Mark can't make the motion. So
You can say so moved.
I don't mind doing it. So I don't mind doing it, but.
Okay.
I feel weird since I wrote the letter.
Did David just make that motion?
Yeah, I just
We'll
so
say
moved.
that he did.
So moved.
And then
I'm
you
saying
seconded it?
Mr. Sill moved that the trustees vote to approve a letter asking that the library staff be considered essential staff and moved up in the list for mandatory vaccine. Is that kind of where we're at?
Perfect.
Not mandatory vaccines.
What's it? should
Not
be?
just don't say mandatory vaccines because no one.
Oh,
It's not a
sorry.
mandatory thing,
For
but be
vaccine.
added to the essential worker list. Yes.
Be considered essential staff for vaccine.
Yes.
Yes.
For COVID.
And did I hear you second that, Chris?
Sure. I normally don't
Okay.
because I'm typing as I'm doing it. But I'd be happy
Okay.
to second. Yeah.
So just, are there any questions on that before we take a vote? Hearing none. David?
No, I'll make a comment though that, we can have a vote. My comment is I was watching the news this morning when they were talking about the teachers and the transit workers, okay, down in Boston, okay? And then an elderly lady comes on and said, I can't get my husband a shot. And everybody else is lining up to get one. And we just feel like we're being stuck by the wayside. So you're seeing some pushback from people who are already eligible and still can't get appointments.
I hear you, Dave.
know,
the
but-
supply is a problem.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we still have to write this letter because it really needs to get done anyway.
Yeah, I would hate for it to not be clear when the supply is enough for that next group.
Yeah.
That
Co-
it's unclear whether you guys qualify or
Of
not.
course, but by the time this really matters, we'll all be 65 anyway.
It does feel that way. I'm getting grayer as we
Yeah.
get through the year.
Yeah.
So Maine took this out basically by Maine just saying the only eligible requirement is age, and they eliminated all concept of essential worker and everything else. So because it was too hard to validate who was essential and everyone was lobbying. So anyway,
Once supply is here, I think they're just going to do that. Like once there's enough supply, it won't matter anymore.
No.
A few more months.
Yeah. Okay, so going to a vote. David,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Mira,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Demetra.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't see anything else. Is there any other business?
Closing on
Oh,
Monday.
yes, that's right. Just like we all got to tour the library, it would be nice if the staff got to tour the library, the new building. To make it work, it would be, we'd like to close the library at 3:00 on Monday. So closing an hour early so that the staff can tour the building. They can't, basically it's touring the building after the construction workers leave for the day. So it'll make it easier it'll make it work for everybody. So does someone want to make a motion to close at 3 on Monday to allow the librarians to see the new building?
That's this coming Monday, correct?
Yes.
What is the date on that?
You asked the tough questions, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
March
The 8th.
8th.
March 8th,
March
okay.
8th.
I
I
make
think
a
it's
motion.
really important though, so we can see if it will how the function and they can imagine it. Help us plan furniture.
Okay, all right. So I will make a motion that we vote to close the library at 3:00 on Monday, March 8th for whatever reason.
So the librarians can tour the library.
Yes. A
I
field trip,
second.
for a field trip.
Okay, so Mira seconded?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, Dave,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Mira,
Yes.
Chris,
Oh no, Helen's being attacked by a cat.
Yes. Who seconded
Mitra.
Mira?
yes,
Yes.
Mira.
I
Okay,
vote yes.
okay, okay. Do we have any other business?
Yeah, today one of the architects, when we were meeting with her, she asked about the bronze plaque when you enter the library. So the MBLC requires that we have a bronze plaque that talks about who the architect was, who the OPM was, and then there's space for other groups to be mentioned. And so she wanted feedback from the trustees about who we should put down on on that plaque. So you don't have to decide now, but if you guys can think about it and contact me, she does need to know soon. But if you can let me know by next week.
Did everybody see that email, Sam's email yet?
Yeah, I sent out an email about it.
Yeah.
So by PMBC, they're going to list all the PMBC members. And then, so it's going to be like I think there's a comparable plaque in all the schools, right? That basically, and typically they list who's on the PMBC and who's on the school committee at the time, right?
Right.
So the question
So
is,
this-
do we want our names on the plaque?
I
That's
wonder if
basically,
I wonder if there'll even be any room for that. If you read everything that Sam's got written down, it better be a big plaque.
it's the same plaque they put in all the buildings. So
Yeah.
I mean, all the buildings have it. You don't get your picture up there, Dave, but you can have your name up
No.
there.
Yeah. So I hope it's big enough.
How big do you want your name to be?
No, it's just name, city, and state of the owner's project manager and the general contractor and the architect and the PMBC. Wow, that's a lot. Sure.
So I think these plaques are usually about 18 inches square or something like that, isn't it? That's my guess. So,
I think she sent me the dimensions. I'll send it out to you to let you know. I can't remember off the top of my head.
so the question is really if the trustees want their name up there or not, right?
Well, not just the trustees, if there's any other groups you want to add on there, like a fundraising committee or that sort of thing.
What do people think? Do they have any ideas or comments? The fundraising committee gets a little hard, I think, just because of the number of,
Oh, when you think of all the people that have been involved with this, that's a lot of names for sure. You're right.
and I don't know what you would do with like the friends. I don't think yeah. So,
What
And
does
what
that
about-
mean?
What about past trustees? I mean, there's been a lot of people that have been involved in the voting and all that, like,
Was this? Just thinking about that. You have this plaque here with this information. What if there was another plaque?
I think I've seen that in other libraries where they did that as well. They had another plaque. Yeah.
So how about if we consider both ideas? Can you send us the dimensions of this plaque when you get them?
Sure.
Okay. Maybe we could consider both ideas.
so the question is, so on to Chris's point of past trustees, the question would be really how far back you would like to go,
right.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, because I've been on the board for a long time and this project started, if you want to go back, it was probably 2010. So there's quite a few trustees that came before the project really hit fruition. If you want to go with just the ones that were more actively involved in the project once it hit fruition, I don't know who we add other than, I mean, Susan definitely comes on there, but how far back do you go from there, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I was thinking Jenna. Right, Jenna was pretty involved.
well, let's give it some thought. We don't have to decide like right now?
No, but she does need it soon. But it doesn't have to be. It could be next week or the week after that. But not much.
All right, but not next meeting. It needs to be
Right.
within 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not something that needs to be voted on. We can just decide it over email.
Okay.
So if we're going back to past trustees, Sam, do you have I don't know that I have an idea who was a trustee when, before the current board, to say like when Jenna was on the board and when she was off, or, some of the other ones. I don't know that I could come up with a list. Do you?
I could go back and look at old minutes from a few years ago. And
I
Isn't
didn't
there
know
a
if there was a
list?
simpler way.
Isn't there a list out in the hallway?
oh yeah, there is a list in the hallway. But it
List
I don't know
depends how far back you want to go.
Yeah,
that's-
I don't
that's
remember
good.
how far back I don't know how updated that list was. I was giving Cheryl grief about that before, that she wasn't keeping it up to date, but
I think she did update it within the last 2 years. I think
okay.
yeah.
So can you take a picture of that and send it out tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. And then we'll figure out basically how many, I'm pretty sure there's enough room for trustees' names. It's just a matter of how, if you want them, and then how far back we go. Right.
All right.
So,
Okay.
and if you want your name or not. So, your name probably goes up there too, right then, Sam?
I think so. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
we don't want Helen's name up there.
No. I saw your office today, Helen. It looks great.
It was a mess.
It was a mess, actually.
It wasn't quite as bad as Sam's, I think, but yeah. So,
Sam's
Okay.
was worse.
It was.
Is that the conversation where I heard that she wants her old desk? Did I hear that right?
That's Diane. She wants her old desk in the children's office.
Diane wants her old desk. Oh, okay.
She wants
Okay.
to bring it with her.
Okay.
okay. Do we have anything else?
So I have one other topic, and I don't have a feel for it yet because I'm not sure we have all the information. But given our face-to-face time today felt really productive and the connection felt great, I was wondering if we should consider whether it's even feasible to do our meetings face-to-face now that we're getting closer to rates down and vaccinations, things like that, and how people are feeling about that. I see David's hand.
David has his
So-
hand up. Permission to speak.
Go ahead.
Yes. Let's see. Over at the COA, I am on the subcommittee for housing. Okay, and we are meeting live
Where are you
Well,
meeting?
in 103. In
How
the,
many-
in the afternoons. 5.
There's
I know there's a capacity limit on 103. I just don't know what it is yet. And whether we already exceed it or not.
3, 6, 8. I don't know. You'd have to ask.
So we can ask what the capacity is on 103
Right.
and the Cooper room, which might be bigger than 103.
We can't tell, we can't record from the Cooper room.
That's the issue with the Cooper room.
But there's no rule that says we have to record.
There is not.
There is not a rule.
No.
Couldn't we
No.
Zoom from there though?
So participation is an issue if there's only,
Okay, we
Us in
I'm
the
sorry,
body.
we have a live meeting and we Zoom at the
we
same
have a
time.
hybrid meeting.
Yes, we
Yeah,
have a
I mean,
hybrid
why couldn't
meeting.
we do that?
We could do a hybrid meeting.
Okay,
Same thing that we're doing
our-
here, except we record and but we're live. But
right,
people that wanted to attend.
the board that we have over there, I mean, the subcommittee is supposed to be 4 people plus Ashley and Marge, who is the chairman of the COA. So that makes it 6. Okay, and for all I know, it might be 1 or 2 more. I don't know. We'd have to ask about that. So, and then there's a Cooper room, like you say.
So if people are comfortable with it, I can ask if, what the capacity is of 103 and if we would fit, right? And then we could figure out, if people want to be live, we'd still have to do a Zoom meeting. It's just a matter of whether, how many people want to be there live versus Zooming in, because the public won't be able to be there, so they'll have to be Zoomed in. I don't know if that means that Sam would be doing the Zoom or if we need Kirby to do that, but
We did our own Zoom.
okay.
Mhm.
So if people are interested in that, I'll start the inquiry on 103. I think 103 is probably the only room that would work in. I don't know if the police station's open for that or it's big enough or anything either, or the fire station.
I feel like the capacity limits on all those rooms are about the same.
I would think so. The new meeting room's bigger, but it's a little drafty right now.
It is a little chilly. Should we come back together about it at the next meeting and figure it out, or do you want to see before the next meeting? What are people feeling on this?
You want
Well,
to
I
take
think
a
you
straw?
still have to be masked, right?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
everyone
Rules.
still have to be masked.
Yep, and we clean the room afterwards. We wipe off the desks, the tables.
And if it's 103, you can crack the windows so we can increase air ventilation.
Yep,
I would be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that.
I'm assuming with the capacity limit, we're 6 feet apart, much like the select board does. They each have a table, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you didn't want to be there, you could still zoom in. So, so there's actually no pressure to be there, was what I'm saying. So, okay. So it sounds like we're kind of leaning towards potentially at least some of us doing that. Okay. So I'll see about what it would take to do that, and circulate what I find out.
Okay, you might
Thank you, Mark.
want to speak to Ashley or Marge just to see the process that they went through when they were asking about that. I think it was Ashley.
Okay. I'll talk to Ashley.
Motion to adjourn.
Before I bring up any more stuff.
All
I
right,
don't
I
have
take it
anything else, so it was very well timed.
Oh, okay, all right. I could take it back.
I'm kidding, David. I'm just teasing you.
Okay.
Does anyone want to second David's motion?
I second David's motion.
Okay. All in favor? David,
Aye.
Katrina,
Yes.
Mira,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Demetra.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. See everyone on April 1st.